Hey guys, Josh from Education 2020. The news has been really overcrowded with COVID-19 and I think you guys need a break. You need to get your minds on something more positive, and here's the thing for you. Earlier in the year I got the chance to catch up with Catherine Oehlman from the Nature School in Port Macquarie. After this interview you're going to realise that there is so much more to the Nature School than simply connecting kids with nature, except that's a really important thing. Anyway, sit back, get a cup of tea, your favourite biscuit, relax and enjoy this excellent interview with an amazing educator. What is your number one gifted book to either teachers or parents?
To give to teachers or parents from myself?
Yep.
It's a tough choice between two.
Okay.
I'm well known as a really big bird nerd.
Yes, okay.
Love identifying local species. Love being able to give other people a tool to do the same thing. So hands down, the best identification guide in Australia is currently this one. The Australian Bird Identification Guide.
Okay, not Big Bird from Sesame Street, but
actual birds with actual species names. And you know, I use this with kids too. I don't dumb down nature for anybody. And this is just a really accessible, beautiful book to help people engage with the natural world.
Right.
But for educators, and parents, I particularly like this one, which is Last Child in the Woods by Richard Louv. And it's become really a seminal work, I think, worldwide to talk about nature deficit disorder and what happens to us as people when we're too disconnected from the natural world. So a lot of people's first kind of dive into this world of nature pedagogy, and I'd recommend that for all parents and teachers to have a read.
Okay. That's an interesting question to start with.
It is, and I think that opens up probably the conversation we're going to have today, but also my perspective too, which is that I come from this nature pedagogy kind of world and looking at how we use nature as a tool for teaching and what that does to us as learners.
Okay. Yeah, well, you've got a lot to say in that field. Okay, second question, a little bit casual. You get home, you do the dinner, you do the washing, it's time to unwind. What do you do to unwind at the end of the day?
Can I go back to the first thing I started
with? Let's do
it. So for me, not only is the thing that I love to teach about, but it's probably the thing I most love to learn about, and it's my de-stress as well. So the first thing usually I do when I get home, before I cook dinner, before anyone says, "Mum, what's for dinner?" is I open all the back windows and doors and step outside and just breathe out. And usually at that time of day, that's when the birds do come down, and I see them come down to the bird bath, and I just breathe in and exhale the day so that I can deal with my family at night. Teaching is a huge load. There is no job quite like this, and I thought it was a huge load being a teacher. Being responsible for running a school is massive, and I love what I do. But it takes a toll, and I think as educators we really have to be mindful of how we come down, finding those things. Okay, it's not going to be bird watching for everybody just like it is for me, but find that thing for you that allows you to exhale and breathe out the day so that you can regroup and be who you are outside of the classroom. The cows agree with me. Thanks, cows. Glad for your support. Appreciate you. Here.
Excuse the cows. Quite vocal at the moment.
Well, we are doing the interview outside here. It actually is raining a little bit at the moment, but that's how we teach, at the Nature School. We teach inside and outside, and we teach regardless of the weather or interference of wild animals.
Totally.
That's how we roll.
Coming over to check us out there. What a school this is.
Sure is.
Wow. So, in our days of, it's not just the Nature School by name. It's definitely authentically the Nature School.
I promise I did not set those cows up. They just happened to roll in at the right moment.
Okay. Well, what birds do you get on your back deck?
All kinds.
Yeah? Okay.
Just today. Let's just go with today. So today from the back deck I've seen king parrots, I've seen New Holland honeyeaters, I've seen satin bowerbirds, I've seen bar-shouldered doves, I've seen willy wagtails, magpies, a pair of tawny frogmouths, male and female golden whistlers, a few thornbills, and some eastern coals.
Eastern coals. Okay. Do you get the eastern rosellas?
We have them here at school. They actually nest in a wall of the school building in the mud brick And the students love watching them come in and out, and they love questioning why are they nesting in the wall of a building instead of the hollow of a tree. And then that opens us up to lots of, critical discussions about the lack of tree hollows and what happens to the natural world when we're taking away habitat from species. Koalas in the area, swift parrots, one of the critically endangered bird species in Australia, comes here to Port Macquarie. And eastern rosella's nesting in the wall of the school building instead of a tree. What's happening there? What can we do about that?
Yeah, excellent discussion.
I can turn anything into a discussion about the natural world.
Oh, you do a good job. The kids that you're teaching, what are the top 3 skills that you see that they need to be successful in life?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think you could go to completely different schools. And I wonder actually if you'd come up with similar answers despite our different contexts. I think the first one that springs to mind for me is how to think. A lot of the time we teach kids what to think, but the content that we teach them may or may not be relevant in 5, 10, 20 years' time, whereas teaching them how to think will always be relevant.
Totally.
So it's not the what to think, it's the how to think. The second one, just wait for this plane to go over.
So we've also got another school in the district. Oh, I've got a little baby cow there. Otherwise known as a calf, I believe.
It is.
Checking us out. 2 of them. They don't look very old, those guys. There's also a learn to fly school in the district.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I'm not sure it's a school that every student needs to have. Metaphorically, maybe. Literally.
Learn to fly.
Secondly, I think the ability to communicate. Doesn't matter what job you have, whether you work with technology or not, whether you work in a high academic field or you're in a trade, the ability to communicate what's happening for you, your thoughts and ideas, and to be able to communicate them in a way that other people can receive, that's going to be forever important. And people who don't have good skills there are always going to struggle, I think. People who have great skills in communication will always find their place in the world. That's never going to change.
Couldn't agree more with you. Yeah.
So how to think, ability to communicate. And you know what? We don't really teach this so explicitly in schools, but I think you have to know yourself and your place in the world.
Yep.
How do we teach that? Where's the syllabus document for that? Is it PDH? Maybe. Is it part of our English curriculum? Possibly. But if you know who you are, where you fit, and how this world around you works, I think that's going to be invaluable. The world itself, on the one hand changes rapidly, on the other hand doesn't change at all. People are still people. The natural world doesn't change rapidly. It changes quite slowly. The countries that exist now will still exist. I think we all need to know who we are and how we fit into the puzzle of this world. Not entirely sure how as teachers how we do that. How do you assess that? But I think it's part of our responsibility as we look at the education of whole children, whole people.
Oh, totally. Oh, absolutely. I'm loving that response. Absolutely loving it. Yeah, I couldn't agree. I'm not going to say what I think because this is your interview, but...
And we didn't talk beforehand, so I could be saying things that are completely in contrast to your perspective, and that would be okay too.
My bells are ringing. My educator bells are ringing. I couldn't agree more. They'd probably be my top 3 as well.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, maybe slightly different order. I don't know, but yeah, it's excellent. Okay, so I believe we're seeing a phasing out of the traditional education system, a system that was ultimately to prepare people for the workplace of the day, which mainly consisted of factory jobs and things like that. But out of the traditional subjects, what do you think is the number one thing to keep, and why should we keep that?
Hands down, literacy. It has to be. One of my top answers was the ability to communicate.
Yeah.
I could say technology, I could say, the excellence in mathematics, and those things are important, but I still think if you cannot communicate what you know, what you think, or what you feel, you can't get anywhere. And you need to be able to communicate verbally, you need to be able to communicate in written ways, and you need to be able to communicate succinctly in ways that are effective and efficient. So I don't think literacy skills are going out of fashion anytime soon.
So when I was a kid and I was taught literacy, I think it was taught to me in a way that was, you learn to spell this word, you learn to do this. And I think I was one of the kids that sort of slipped through the system and never really understood it was about communication. Yeah. Whereas as probably halfway through my teaching career, I realised, hang on, I'm teaching kids how to communicate what they think. And for me, English has come alive and come on fire.
To be a scientist, you have to be able to still communicate what you think.
Absolutely.
To be a mathematician that is accessible to the world, you have to be able to communicate what you know in a way that people can hear and understand. I definitely think the ability to communicate.
Yep, absolutely. What excites you the most about the nature school?
Everything. I was sitting outside doing an interview in the rain with, surrounded by this... Thank you, cows. Surrounded by cows and a beautiful environment. I love the opportunity to break down some of the traditional boundaries and barriers of school. I love the opportunity to say yes to children more than I say no. I love the opportunity to really know why I do what I do and to question myself all the time. I think in Australia we have a tendency to just do things the way they've been done. We don't always have an answer for why we do that. Here I question stuff all the time. That's great, why? Why are we doing it that way? Is that best practice? Is it good for you as a teacher? Is it good for your learners? Is it good for us as a community? Do we like it? If we don't like it, why do we do it? So it's really such a unique opportunity to get to shape a school from nothing. It's a lot of hard work. It's a little bit like shoveling sand into the sand pit at first, but you're going to build sandcastles out of it. Yes, sandcastles, I say. We'll build something spectacular, but it's a lot of hard work to get there, and you really do strip everything down to the core essentials. And you constantly ask yourself why. Why is this the most important thing? Why is that the best way to teach English? Why is that the most effective way to assess student learning? Why? Why do we teach inside classrooms? Why do we stand in front of rows of children? Why don't we play in the rain? Why don't we teach in the rain? Why don't we do an interview in the rain? Would it be so bad if we sat in the rain? Why? So many big why questions to ask and to answer.
Well, Catherine Oehlman, the head of the Nature School, legend extraordinaire.
Don't know about extraordinaire. Bird nerd. Teacher with lots of big questions who wants to, little by little change the way we do things in Australia. That's me.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for coming on the Education 2020 show.
My pleasure. I hope in 2020 and beyond we see many more teachers who ask the big questions why. Many more teachers who question the system and say, why can't we teach that outside? Why can't I take kids in the bush? Why can't they climb a tree? Why can't we play in the rain? Because tomorrow is a beautiful place to teach and learn.
Totally. I think we'll leave it there. That's awesome.